What is up? Thanks for clicking on this video. We're going to turn the page and take a look ahead to the off-season. We're going to take a look at some important early off-season dates and how those impact the Twins. So let's get right into it, starting off with free agency. That's right, 5 days after the World Series ends, which is going to be between November 5th and the 10th. So we got some time still, but this is worth talking about. Free agency begins, qualifying offers are due, and decisions on options are due. So that's going to impact the Twins quite a bit here. You see in the black box I have the Twins pending free agents. This is from MLB.com. Worth noting that a couple of those guys do have club options we'll take a look at in just a sec. Max Kepler and Jorge Polanco. And then they are going to have to make a decision on Sonny Gray in particular. He's the main guy they're going to consider for a qualifying offer. Probably a pretty good bet that they're going to extend Gray a qualifying offer. But let's talk about those options. So again, 5 days. The Twins don't have a lot of time to make decisions on these things. Max Kepler and Jorge Polanco, you see there, both pretty reasonable, to be honest. Very reasonable. $10 million team option for Max Kepler, $10.5 million option for Jorge Polanco. Worth noting that both of the buyouts are reasonable as well. The buyouts are very small, only $1 million. Very small in baseball money, of course. Take that into account in all these conversations. And Polanco also has an option in 2025. That's also reasonable. So, both those guys had great second halves. Both those guys, important pieces of the team, even beyond what they bring on the field. So I expect the Twins to pick both those up. I'm not sure if it's really considered a slam dunk that both those guys will be on the opening day roster. I think to a certain degree the Twins will, listen on offers or maybe even strike up some conversations about both those guys in trade talks, but more on that as the season progresses. Again, this is just sort of a quick hit. Let's take a look at the calendar and line up our expectations here. In mid-November is the deadline to accept or reject those qualifying offers. It's also the deadline to protect players from the Rule 5 draft, so all the prospects have to get added to the 40-man roster, or else they, if they're eligible for the Rule 5 draft, they may be picked later on in the offseason. This is also the deadline to non-tender players. So, again, this is in mid-November. All this stuff is in about a month. So there's a lot of activity, off-season activity that happens very early after the World Series is over. It's going to be really one of the more busy times of the off-season. Right out the bat, there's a ton of decisions to be made. And before we dig deep into kind of what the Twins arbitration numbers look like and what the Rule 5 guys look like, just want to call out this amazing Royce Lewis shirt that the good folks at Breaking Tea sent me. And if you go to breakingtea.com/TFTwins, that's an affiliate link. There's some other designs that I love there too, of Correa and Lewis and other guys. Also other Minnesota pro sports teams on there, so check them out. I'll put a link down in the description. But speaking of the arbitration salaries, these are the projected arbitration salaries of all the arbitration-eligible players on the Twins per MLBTradeRumors.com. They do an excellent job with all of this stuff. So kind of looking through here, I think the easy one to call is that Jordan Luplow is going to get non-tendered. I don't think they're interested in keeping him in particular. It's going to be a roster crunch, which we'll talk about in just a sec with those Rule 5 guys. Also, Kyle Farmer at $6.6 million. I think that's going to be tough for them to carry. Love Farmer. Absolutely love Farmer. What a fun season he had. The walk-off hit on the home opener. Comes back from getting his face blown up, guarantees a postseason win. Like, how awesome is that guy? I absolutely love him, but that's just a tough number to bring back a guy to fill that kind of a role. Not all of these are slam dunks either, but those are the decisions that they're going to have to be made on these guys who are eligible for arbitration, potential non-tender guys there. And the other thing, the Rule 5 draft. So the Twins are going to have to add these guys to the 40-man roster to protect them against the Rule 5 draft. I have these prospects in order of where they are at on my most recent prospect list. The top three guys there, I think, are absolute slam dunks. Manuel Rodriguez, Austin Martin, and Junior Severino. I think those guys are definitely going to get added to the 40-man roster. The rest of them, I'm not sure. Ricardo Olivar, I love. I've had him pretty high up on my list, but he's only been as high as low A. Not sure if there's a lot of risk of him getting taken. We'll do a bigger breakdown on these guys when the time comes. Again, this is a month down the road, but I know this is a common topic of once the season ends, we're transitioning into starting to think about these things. So I kind of wanted to just throw these names out there. You'll notice all these guys that I've highlighted, all my top guys are all position players. I'm sure there are some pitchers that the Twins are going to be seriously considering adding to the 40-man roster. Sometimes those guys are a little bit under the radar, but it's a good arm that they like. Thinking about last year, Brent Hedrick was an add who was maybe considered on the fence. They also added Casey Legumina before trading him. So he was on the 40-man roster for a time there. So that's another thing to keep in mind, too, is that some of these guys might get added and, that they might get traded. That happens as well. So, but that is kind of the list of top prospects. That's just a real quick hit rundown of what we're going to be looking for in the next month or so here. Again, going to do some deeper dives into all this stuff as the time comes. Thanks so much to all the channel members. I really appreciate y'all. Here are the premium members. We'll talk again soon.